An inspiring life story is the account of a moment when an extraordinary person reveals the key that unlocked the door to their success. Among the many themes explored in these narratives are triumphs over adversity and the shattering of previously established boundaries. Not only can you as an individual motivate others to chase their dreams, but you can also provide them with the means they need to keep going strong once they reach their goals. Welcome to Deep Discussions Live and Learn podcast. I'm your host, Walter Williams. Thank you so much for your continued support of Deep Discussions mission. I am so incredibly honored that God has gifted me with the voice, the thought, and more importantly, the heart to be an inspiration to those who want to hear what I have to say, read what I have to write, and just experience the things that I love to share, and that's inspiration and encouragement for people to be the best version of themselves. Um, I've really, been doing some deep reflecting over the last couple of weeks, because I went through so many different iterations with deep discussion. And it started off with me thinking I wanted to be a life coach, to maybe being a mentor, to being a success coach. I've tried to wear so many hats, and now I got to a point where I was forced to rest. And as a result of resting, there have been many things that I've learned and that I've been, exposed to mentally and emotionally. But before I get into that, I want to first start with a poem that I wrote, and it's called Out There. It's okay to be scared, but you must let go. Attention await the makings of you, despite the flaws you see in front. Illusion made its way in, fainting your vision and judgment. Its pull is so strong and mighty, your will tempted to oblige. However, you stand back to pause, taking in the aroma of positivity. It is in that moment you feel a rush, pushing away those lousy thoughts. Let faith take command. Don't question what is tempted. Just envision the awe housing your feelings. Step out of the puddle, for a splash is apparent. Water's travel can burden if you cross its passing. Let not its fierce push surrender your will. Keep pushing, ears and hearts await you. It's natural to fear the moment you're in. Fear defines the height your manifestation can reach. I wrote that poem as a result of me reflecting about where I'm at, where I am with my platform and my business, and how I want to deliver my content, my thoughts, and my ideas. I went through so many different moves and different facets of deep discussion. Again, starting off as just wanting to be a poet, getting in front of a camera and sharing poetry, to podcasting, to poetry and podcasting, to life coaching, to success coaching, mentor, all of that stuff. I've done so many things. And throughout that journey, there were many times where I would get frustrated, experience self-doubt, consider, closing up shop and not doing this anymore. Just many different things, because I kept jumping from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and not giving myself a chance to rest. But having children will definitely not only force you to do some deep self-reflecting, but it helps you to realize some things about yourself that you knew about, but you didn't know about as in-depth as you should. So, quick story. My son, who just turned 3 last week, was we've had him in daycare now since August of last year. And so we're coming up on a year since he's been in daycare, and he's now on his second daycare. And at the first daycare, there was some challenges, obviously, because if there weren't, then he wouldn't have been moved. But there were some challenges, with how not only not only how he was behaving, but how they managed things. And, so there was a difference of opinion and a difference of view. So I'm not going to get too, you know, too deep into what took place, but there were some challenges with my son's behavior as well as how they managed those behaviors. So we decided it was best to move him to another school. And he's been at that school now for about 2 months. And there's still some challenges, but we feel like we have a better grasp and understanding on how things are being handled, and we're working some things out. But throughout that whole process, the constant with my son is he does not like to stay still. Taking a rest is not in his vocabulary. When he's asked to take rest, he gets combative. He gets frustrated. He starts doing things that he's not supposed to do because he does not like to rest. Even though he needs it and it's necessary, he can't stand it. And I thought about this because, one, going through, the challenges of, parenting and, trying to balance, making sure my son has the best experience possible at school, along with, trying to, take care of things with my job and all of that stuff. It's, it forced me to take a step back and really self-reflect on how I can be, more supportive and making sure that he has the best experience possible. But it brought me back to when my wife, when he was born, this probably maybe it was less than a year after he was born. My wife said that he gets his determination and ambition from me, because when you tell him he can't do something, he's going to find a way to still try to do it. Whether you're not looking, whether he tries to ease his way over to it and gets his hand on it, he's going to try to find a way to do what he wants to do, even though you tell him not to. So those two things, not wanting to rest and being persistent and ambitious and determined to get what he wants, is two things that resonate with me and him. Now, I'm not going to be unruly and trying to get what I want, but that's because I'm an adult. He's only 3. I'm a mature adult, put it that way. And so thinking about that, I thought about that situation and obviously how I can be a better parent to him in that situation. But I also did some self-reflection on myself and how I've been like that with putting together deep discussion. And I never gave myself a chance to pause and to rest. I wanted to keep trying to figure out the best way to get my content and my thoughts out there and ideas out there for people to receive it, whether that be through coaching, whether that be through speaking. I was always trying to find some kind of way to offer a service to people so that they can receive my ideas, my thoughts, and in some way, the things that I feel I'm equipped to, quote unquote, sell. Mind you, I never wanted this platform to get to a point where it's my livelihood or I'm making enough money to feed and raise my family or take care of my family. So I kept going back and forth with all of that. One minute I'm like, no, I just want to have fun. I just want to, enjoy what I do and keep it as a hobby. But then I go down this path of wanting my ideas to be put out there, that I jump from one thing to the next, from one venture of coaching to the next venture of coaching to the next venture of providing some service. And in those moments, again, I never rested. So when things weren't going the way I wanted them to go, I would get frustrated, get upset, and then just say, all right, let me try something different then. Just like my son would do. You tell him he can't play with that right now, he'll go and try to get the next thing. You tell him he can't play with that, he may get a little upset or a lot upset, but he's still going to go try to get something else. And what I've realized is no matter how many times like I've tried to get him to just sit still, take a break. He does not want to do it. Again, he gets combative. He needs something in his hand, something to keep him occupied, whether that be getting in front of a TV and it's playing the show that he want to watch. He needs something to occupy him. And that's how I've been with my platform. I need something, needed something to give my platform the opportunity to get the attention that I felt it deserved. And it got to a point again where I was forced to rest, because once I got past the trying to be a success coach, and coming up with all of these ideas, someone not necessarily insulted me. Like, I don't want to say insulted. She didn't say anything that I didn't need to hear, put it that way. So, but what she said, I took to heart in that moment, because here I'm thinking I got this great idea, this fresh idea for this program, this thing that I'm going to, that's going to elevate my platform and my brand. And then she quickly sent me this email when I requested her to assist me. She sent me this email that says all of this stuff about, did you think about this? Did you think about that? How are you this? How are you that? And when I first heard it, I took it as like, well, dang, just say I'm not good enough for it. Just say I shouldn't be doing this. You don't have to go through all of the details. But in that moment, of course, we're going to tell people just say that, because then what? If she had just said that, am I going to take that any easier? Probably not. So, in her saying all of that, I thought about it. I started working on all of the things that she asked me. All of the things she asked me to look at after a day or two of reflecting, I started saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to look at all of this stuff. I love to write. So poetry and writing, all of that stuff is like the foundation of what this platform is all about. But so I started writing down all of the stuff she said, pretty much like answering the questions, reflecting on how I can still carry out what it was I want to do and do it. So I'm like, all right, I got you. And then it got to a point where I was like, you know what? That was a lot of work. And on top of that, the last time I tried to offer a service, it didn't quite pan out the way I wanted it to. And then I had to ask myself, am I really not capable, but am I willing to do the work that is required for a service to be heavily coveted the way I keep thinking that mine should be? And guess what the answer to that question was? No. Because I just want to be a creator. I just want to create content and share it, share it in the best way possible. So if people receive my content, great. If not, it's unfortunate, but it ain't the end of the world. So if it requires me to just write books, as I just published 5 books. 2 of them are books of poetry. One is a devotional book. One is a re-edition of my life skills manual, is now called Mastering Life, the essential skills necessary for success. And then also created a planner, a Black History Month planner, but it's Black History every month. So it's a 12-month planner where I share Black history / Black culture poem for each month. So I did all of that, and then I thought to myself, okay. So that actually is something that I enjoy doing, because I love writing. And I decided to publish the books. And then as I'm publishing the books, I then say, so I'm doing publishing. Deep Discussion is now a publishing company, basically, because I self-published. I didn't go through a publisher, because again, the commercialization of all of this stuff has really been the downfall of me wanting to continuously move forward with this. I'll get to that in a second. Let me finish sharing this thought. But I got to the part of saying, all right, I'm gonna offer it as I could have people publish their books with me. Who out there want to be an author? Who would like to share their books with me? Let me edit them, let me market them, and publish them for you under deep discussion. And then on top of that, you could be a guest on my podcast because I did recently have success with a well-known author who that episode of her podcast, of the podcast that I had her on, has still been doing crazy numbers. And mind you, that podcast was released in 2022. So I was like, that's not a bad idea. And so I'm starting to think about that, writing it down, write down the ideas for that. And later on that night, as I was waiting for my books to publish, because I said to my wife, once I shared that idea with her, I said, but first I need my books to publish first so I can have something to stand on, so I could say, I got these books published. So you want to do business with me? I laid down, was getting ready for bed and everything. And a voice whispered in my ear, there you go, try and do it again. And I shrugged my shoulders and was like, do what? And it said, there you go, trying to serve others and not serve me. And of course, I quickly was like, whoa, I'm trying to serve others and not serve God. I'm trying to make my platform something that is a service for authors, something that is a service for struggling professionals or students or people that's struggling in life, whatever the case. I keep trying to serve others so badly through my platform that I forget who I'm supposed to truly serve, and that's God. So I did not quickly just said, okay, I'm not going to do that. I removed all of the services pretty much from my website. I'm not even going to sell services. Now, I do have on my website something about me being willing to speak at events, but I'm not offering it as a service like click here to learn more about my speaking. So I'm not doing any of that because that has been the downfall of my platform for so long. Me trying to get people to want to pay me for my platform. Every time I want to commercialize it, that seems to be when I start to notice my passion, my positive energy for it starts to fade. Because the thing is, when you start wanting to turn something into a service to make money from other people, what you do is you heighten the expectation. And as I said in the poem earlier about putting yourself out there, at least as I delivered it in that poem, oftentimes is based on us. Sometimes we put unnecessary pressure on ourselves by wanting to go out there and, be the best singer we ever been, be the best manager that we've ever been, or that there has ever been in this whole entire world. We want to be the best of the best of the best. And sometimes that also means we want to be able to be paid and become millionaires off of our voice, off of our thoughts, off of our ideas. And we heighten that expectation, which sometimes create anxiety and unnecessary pressure on ourselves. And me adding the service to this, trying to commercialize this, took the fun out of it for me. Now, again, as I'm doing this, if people decide they want me to, be available as a speaker for them or help them with stuff, then yeah, I'll definitely do it. And chances are I won't do it for free, but I'm no longer out here trying to do this with the expectation of being hired or being paid for the things that I do. I author 5 books, and I'll take part in workshops and speaking engagements. And if I get hired and people want to pay me for it, sounds good to me. If not, the fact of the matter is my intent is to serve God. And if serving God means offering my voice, my thoughts and ideas to an organization at no cost, if I'm serving God, that is the cost, is that God is being served. So taking those expectations out of it, of wanting to get paid off of stuff, is what I had to come to the realization of. But I had to rest to discover that. Because just like as I started this off with my son wanting to jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and not really seeing the value of resting. He's 3. He'll appreciate resting one day, hopefully. But I appreciated this moment of resting because it gave me the opportunity to reflect and realize my brand and my platform is not going the way I want it to, because I keep placing unnecessary expectation on it to try to make money off of it, to try to get people to want to garner my services. But the only person that the only reason I should be doing this is to serve God. And I had to realize that. The second that I decided, oh, okay, I'm publishing, so I could publish other people, God was like, up, wait, stop. And when those books went live on Amazon and, I did my self-publishing, I felt like $1,000,000, because the thing is, like, publishing them and having my work out there for people to potentially buy feels good enough for me, because God was with me when I wrote all of these things, and God is the one who insisted that I do this, but remove the service part from it, because I love to write. Writing and being writing and having deep discussions is something that I'm really passionate about. I like to talk about how to motivate, inspire, and encourage people to be the best version of themselves. That's what I love to do. As far as coaching and all of that stuff, I mean, the idea of it sounded nice, but what it entailed did not sound nice to me. And that's why God forced me to take a pause. So 2 things I want you to take away from all of this. The first is rest is necessary. You're going to be forced to rest at some point. In my experience, I was forced to rest when it got to a point where I kept putting these things out there and they weren't going the way that I wanted them to. Because if one thing don't work, I jump to the next. If that thing don't work, I jump to the next. But it's going to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not receiving the kind of attention that I'm looking to receive off of these things. So maybe I need to, it's going to force you to rest, because what else are you going to do? Jump to the next thing again? It's like you're going to keep trying to find something under 12 empty hats, and none of those hats have anything. Once you get to the 12th and you look under there, what you going to do? Go running around looking for a 13th hat? Or you going to sit back and just say, you know what? Maybe I'm looking for the wrong thing underneath these hats. And the last thing that I want you to walk away from is make sure that no matter what it is that you do in your lifetime, what it is you do for a living, whatever it is, make sure serving God is a part of what you're doing. Whether you're being a manager, director, a teacher, an author, whatever the case may be, make sure serving God is a part of your job description. Thank you again for tuning into the Deep Discussion Live and Learn podcast. Again, I'm your host, Walter Williams. I appreciate your continued support of my messages and my mission. Be sure to visit my website, deepdiscussion.org, to learn more about purchasing my book, one of my books. You can also purchase paraphernalia from there as well, if interested. And again, if you're someone that wants to be a guest on the podcast, you have a powerful message to share, let's get connected. Email me at deepdiscussion13@gmail.com, and let's get you on the show today. Thanks again for continuing to listen and following Deep Discussion. Take care and God bless.